Hi, good afternoon from Mariana. Wow, Women of Worth. As promised, here we are with Rosie. Hi, Rosie. How are you doing?
Hi, Mariana. Lovely to be here.
Where are
Thank
you
you for
now?
asking me.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm afraid I'm not in London. It looks like I am, but I'm afraid I'm not. I am in Germany. It's where
Oh,
I live and
whereabouts
I
in
work.
Germany? Brilliant.
In
Whereabouts?
Coburg, where Queen Victoria and her husband both came from.
Okay, cool. So, for as I was saying, basically today is going to be a very busy schedule with interviews, live interviews of fantastic women that want to share their story from a professional point of view as well as personal view, and definitely where everything is around the human element, which is actually what is the theme about our festival, Walk the Talk. So, Rosie, let's introduce yourself, please, and tell us a little bit more about what you do and what is your how you help your clients to communicate, basically.
Yes. Well, where do I start? I am known as the Tweak to Speak mentor because what I do is I take people uh, whose uh, whose language is not originally English and help them to make an impact on the international stages, and also an impact for their global businesses. So that's basically what I do. My team and I do that. My team also does corporate training, and things like that. We try to get people. We try to help people make the impact they really should be making internationally.
Wow,
And I've been
and
doing
this
it
is
for
something.
27 years. So
How many years? 20?
seven.
27. Wow,
27. Yeah.
fantastic. But and this is when you moved to Germany or before? You started before.
No, I started it when I came to Germany. I realized myself how frustrating it is to feel totally inadequate when people don't see you for the go-to person you are, the expert you are, the fantastic human being you are, because you can't express yourself in another foreign language as you can in your own. And so that was really the motivation for starting up the language academy.
This is great. We were discussing before. I am Italian, and anyway, there is so much frustration when you try to express in a foreign language what you have inside of you, and you can't find the words, or you find the words, and sometimes it doesn't really. I'm not saying meaning because the meaning eventually is that, but in the way you would mean, which is. Coming from your mother tongue is very, very frustrating. So I
Yeah.
totally agree. Thank you for helping women or anyway people
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
struggling with that. Because the
Yeah.
language you don't learn overnight. It's not about the vocabulary. Is actually tuning with ourselves, and this is the point
Mhm.
where we're discussing now about the human element, which is
Yeah.
the thing that is inside of us, which is able to express and feel comfortable, not because we are in a comfort
Yeah.
zone itself, but is allowing us to express ourselves. So on that respect, then what is really you said the frustration, when you talk about the frustration of the foreigner when has to express themselves into a different language, but what is really the challenge that you reckon is with the people, the connection with the mind and the heart, with the emotional part,
Yeah.
or what else
Yeah.
is there?
Well, I think that the biggest problem is that people do look at you. They do judge you by your language. They do judge you by the way you can express yourselves. And I remember one time at the academy and being introduced to a Greek professor. It was it was a lady. She was fantastic. She was wonderful. She could speak very good English and she could express herself really, really well. But she couldn't speak German. And of course, in Germany, English is not quite there yet as the, lingua franca. And I felt desperate for her because she was an amazing woman. But people just didn't see her for who she was because she had so much to give, but she just couldn't give it in Germany in German. And people were not seeing her brilliance, and I felt very, very sad about that.
Yeah, this is interesting because sometimes anyway, even the mindset itself. So, for example, I make an example about myself that I am Italian, so as such, bubbly. I wear colors, as you can see. I am, creative and everything. And being in the UK, which is most of times conservative, I look like a mad woman who is trying to do this. It's a tornado or Vesuvius by Big Bang. And, that was affecting me. So I'm starting changing the way I was portraying myself with the colors, more, conservative, even more, in my case, working in a male-dominated environment in towns. So, and then the language, laughing, but smiling, not too much. Otherwise, people say, and I was changing.
It's
I was
sad.
it's sad. It's sad.
It is sad.
But
yeah.
But I realized that not for others, it's not worth for me changing the way I am because otherwise there is nothing else I can give anymore if I'm changing what I'm meant to be. And when you have that awareness about yourself, that is a change in the perspective. So let me understand a little bit more about how you help them to also from their respect.
Before I answer that question, may I just make a comment? I often say, I've written a number of articles about this, and I often say that the language you use is like your closet. It's like where you have all your wardrobe, where you have all your the things you want to wear. So where a bubbly Italian, wonderful, beautiful, gorgeous woman would want to be saying things that are, sort of a little bit, possibly even outrageous for the British conservative people. This is you. This is you, and this is your wardrobe. But we need to remember that when we go into that wardrobe, we have to take out what is appropriate for that moment. And this is the same with language. We have to use the language which is appropriate for that particular situation, that for that particular, should we say, section of society, or even the event, or the do that we're actually at that time. So this is very much what I work with many entrepreneurs, business owners. I work with speakers, so that their language is their own. It's their authentic self, but we polish it so that it will also be acceptable in the situation where they want to deliver their speeches, when they want to do business, say with India or somewhere like this, where you do have to be a little bit more careful about the language you use.
So sorry, decided to do some drilling work.
Has to be done.
One question, because I'm very curious, I am perfect person for you to understand a little bit more about what you do and how you. Yeah, exactly. But so you're teaching grammar as well, on top of refining the messaging, how you help them then to deliver in a more polished way that is their style of communication through the language?
Yeah. Well, I think going back to my wardrobe, yeah, it is a little bit like finding the accessories to go with these clothes. So, if I don't have a jacket to go with a beautiful dress, then I will need to find that jacket. So that if there is grammar that is, and I'll say one thing, grammar, we don't have to be perfect in grammar. Nobody has to be perfect in grammar. Not even the English people are perfect in grammar. In fact, quite often they're not.
Which is reassuring.
But when I see people saying, he don't or we doesn't or something like that, then, the hairs on my neck go up. But we do not have to be perfect in grammar, but the message that we want to get over, that we want to get across to our audience, to the people we're talking to, that has to have at least enough grammar or the right grammar to get the message across. Mm-hmm. So very often, and if you don't have the right grammar to get the message across, what happens? The message gets longer because you have to go back and clarify things, etc. So it's not a question of your message not getting across as it should. It's a matter of how long will it take, for the other people to actually understand what you're saying. It will mean, do people look at me strangely because I'm not using the kind of language that actually suits me, my personality, my qualifications, what I'm doing in life. So, the message is still there. But if you go onto a stage, for example, and you want to wow people, we're talking about women of worth and we're talking about wowing people. So, if you want to wow somebody, then what you don't want is that your audience is sitting there thinking, what is she saying? Huh? What was that word? It could even be pronunciation, and very often it's not just the person is saying the word correctly. They have the correct word, but from language to language, and this is especially true with the Latin-based languages, you will find that there are different stresses on one particular word, like communication. Yeah, you will find that a different syllable is stressed according to their own language. They will have that word, but it will be different. It will be said differently in their language. And that is something I find that very often with some of my French customers, because the stresses on words in French are very, very different, although they are the same words. So that's where a lot of misunderstandings can come in.
Yeah, so this is anyway, I've been always fascinated by the fact, especially I would like to learn the diction, so pronounce a little bit better because of my accent. And sometimes people say the beauty of being foreigner is is so noisy. So
That's okay, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry. As long as they don't come through the ceiling, that's fine.
Yeah. So the point is that I was asking to do some diction, and they said, Mariana, you know what? You guys coming from abroad, you have a different accent, which is sex in the sense that is so interesting, and otherwise be another English speaker could be very boring.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Which is something nice, but I totally agree with you. And the exercise you're going to go through your classes for your students is to then find what is the message or the style by which they want to be recognized, and then you teach them, I don't know, the vocabulary or how you actually, in terms of help, which kind of support you give them in order that they, what is their takeaway?
Yeah. Well, the most of the people that I teach personally, it's all on a one-to-one basis, so that I know in very, very short time, I know exactly where, the little, this is why tweak to speak mentor, because we tweak that, just turn it just a little tiny bit to make it work. Yeah. And I agree with you totally about the accents, because um, it would be so boring if everybody spoke like an English person or an American person or something like that. It would be totally boring. And it's part of, for you, for example, it's part of your charm. But there is, as I say, a very fine line between um, showing your charm and just missing that little bit of understanding, so that somebody, just doesn't quite get your message. So that's where the line is, and that's why I work on particular things like that. I get people to identify their own problems normally, or their own, not problems, should we say challenges. So I get them to, what I do is I get them to identify where they can, where what they are doing, and the more, when you can identify with it, you can change it. If you can't identify it with it, you can't change it. Very simple.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And for example, then what do you think that is the human element around which you can work for you to deliver what you're doing for your
Yeah.
clients, for your students?
Well, I think that what I don't like, and what we've never done is, we work it's very, very seldom that we'll work with books, because the books take the human element out of it. There's, if you work with a book, you're working almost like a robot. If you work with people's own experiences, with their own stories, with their, the things, if they talk about something about the past and you want to practice talking about the past, then it just doesn't, it's just not okay to take something out of a book. You ask them about last weekend, you ask them about their childhood, you ask them about, something that matters to them, because A, they want to talk about it, and B, they realize slowly, where the grammar has to be changed. Yeah. But it's very, very important I feel it's very, very important to work with them, with their present needs, with their stories, with their feelings, with their, I don't know, talking about their families, or and also, of course, their causes. If they're going on stage, they normally have a cause. And so it's very, very rewarding for them to be able to actually express something about their cause.
But do you think, for example, sometimes like when you go to the doctor, so you go for a pain in the shoulder, and
Yeah,
all of a sudden something else is happening in your body, and then basically you need to look after different things, and that is the effect is of your not feeling well with the shoulder is because of
yeah,
the general state.
yeah,
Can be the same with your students. They come to you because they think there's something missing with their communication, and instead
yeah,
you are understanding that is something else before that, that is only the
yeah,
symptom. So how
yeah,
do you address that, and how much you are able to lead them to listen to you and to have a program which is eradicating the general
yeah,
problem before you treat the
yeah.
symptom
Hmm.
locally?
Yeah. Um, well, I've lost you. What was the first part of the question?
No, sometimes this is great because I imagine you were there with the answer and then you wanted to start from my premise. No, the point is, I think that
Sorry.
sometimes we come in from to you for a problem, from a communication point of view, we think that we have a
Okay.
problem, but actually you can see
A
overall
different problem.
a different problem. So
Yeah.
how do
Yeah.
you help them to address that?
Well, what we normally do. I mean, first of all, it's very, very important to know who that person is. Okay, they need to know. Okay, I'll give you an example. I am sure that people have spoken to you, whether it's in English or in Italian. Let's take Italian for the moment. I'm sure people have spoken to you in a way that you cannot associate with. That you say, I would never say that. So for me, for example, I am a master practitioner in NLP. So very often I can take this, and I'm also a mediator. So I have a lot of background where I can actually um, take these things and see, okay, where is somebody coming from? Why do they say that? What would they rather say? Yeah. So a lot of that is I listen very, very carefully. I'm totally spontaneous on other things. I have a very short I'm very impatient on other things, but I have lots and lots of patience when it comes to the people that I work with. Because listening, we have to listen. We listen, we listen, we listen, we listen. And before I can help anybody, I have to listen and I have to find out, okay, who is this person? What kind of language actually belongs to this person? Because as I said before, if you are, if very often you would say, oh goodness, that person, they, the hackles on your, the hairs on your neck go up because they're speaking in a way that you think, oh, you know because it's not your language, it's not what you feel comfortable with. And so and some people are so much better in, for example, delivering their speeches in a much more simple way. So what we need to do is to find that simple way that will still involve impact. It will still make the people who are listening to them sit up, and listen and go away knowing what that person said. So it's
Yeah,
always about having very complicated language. It's about having language that suits you, language which will make an impact, and language which you feel comfortable with.
yeah. And fun enough, first of all, my husband is British as well and is man, so they are so direct. Me, I am Italian, I am a woman, so I come from the history, bringing everything before I deliver my message. He says, "Get to the point." I said, "Yes, but let me talk. Let me." So, and that is really, as you said, also cultural and
Yeah.
mindset,
Oh,
cultural
yeah. Yeah.
pattern, because
Yeah.
Italians, before we say something, we have to warm up for a long time. Instead, you guys, you want to get to the point as soon as possible, and that is frustrating because there is the cultural language
Mm,
barrier. Sorry, the
mm,
cultural barrier, and then the
mm,
language barrier. So maybe
mhm,
you are not delivering the
mhm.
right
Yeah.
words; they are effective enough, and that is a
Yeah.
lot of stress in it.
Yeah. I've just created a new program, um, which is called the Impactful Speaker Script. And in the Impactful Speaker Script, part of that, and a big part of that, is culture. Because there is no language without culture, and there is no culture without language. And so that is just so important. So I'm absolutely on the same page when you talk about that. Yeah.
Fantastic, because as I said, being a foreigner, I really see that is how you structure the sentence, the word itself, the sentence, how short has to be in the UK in English instead of the Italian one. If you in Italian, if I translate something in English, it makes a language which is so silly, like not even silly, so basic. So what is your? Sometimes when I try to translate from English into Italian, I say, "Oh my God!" Now when I go back to into the Italian, I can't speak because now
Yeah.
my mindset is
Yeah.
tuned with the UK one, English
Yeah.
one. And when I translate back into Italian, people look at me like, as you said, I can't relate to this. You are an old
Yeah.
woman now, and you have
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
poor,
Yeah. Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
vocabulary, or
Yeah.
even not
Yeah.
structuring properly.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
really something that for foreigners, first of all,
And
learning
so
the language.
so you can see how important it is for you to be seen in a certain way.
Yeah,
And you can see how your vocabulary that should suit you is not there at that moment. So that means you're going to your wardrobe, you're looking in your wardrobe, and you've got a ball coming up, and you need a long dress, a long glittery dress, to take that out of your wardrobe. But there's no long glittery dress in that
yeah,
wardrobe, because somehow or other you've given away to charity or something. But that's the way, when you go back to Italy, that's what's missing. You're missing that. And working in Germany, I've worked in Germany now for 30 years. And the Germans are, if you think the English are direct,
so
you should come to Germany. You should come to Germany.
yeah.
Germany is so much more direct. When I first came here, I would say something like, "Would you mind if I opened the window?" So I would think for the most English people, that's perfectly normal. Yeah, to say, "Would you mind if I opened the window?" In German, you just say, "Can I open the window?" That's it. There is no "would you mind."
Yeah,
And if you
yeah.
start translating "would you mind" into German, then it comes out totally flowery and sounds ridiculous.
I get you 100%. Yeah, I totally see that. So, and going back to our human element, so you said that you listen, so your job is to listen to people and then to be able to support them. Instead, what do you think is missing? You are missing, if you are missing anything. From being human, so or and also in the society nowadays, what do you think you're missing for you to feel human as such? I mean, comfortable with yourself, and you are not stressing yourself like a machine.
Hmm. Um, from a personal point of view,
Hmm.
I think that we are just, all of us are just, we're trying to do too much in too short a time. Um, and although I have to say that I do most of my training online, which is absolutely amazing and has really been a help to me. We are still with this age of smartphones, of Zoom, of online training, emails, everything like this. We are expecting we're asking ourselves to do it, and we're expecting everybody else as well to react too quickly. And I personally think a lot of this is what leads to a lot of burnout. And I think that the human element of, being able to relax, giving yourself a little bit of time to even to just stare out of the window, is not there.
I totally love it because we're talking about connection, no? A human connection
Mm, mm,
inside of you and outside of you with the people around you. But actually, we say, wow, we are connected on LinkedIn, we are connected. But connection means that there is a moment where there is a contact. But are we actually building relationship? Connection is completely different from building
yeah,
a relationship.
yeah.
So we are connected on our devices, we are connected with people in the sense that we have a touch point, but there is no actually mutual mutual feed in order
Yeah,
to
yeah,
build a
yeah,
relationship. And that
yeah.
is,
I mean, there's one thing with the connection
mhm,
electronically, shall we say?
yeah, yeah,
Whether it's, like LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, whatever it is. And the other is the personal element, the actual person to person element. And this is where, for example, culture comes in my job. A big part of this is, if you want to do business with somebody, you need to understand them, you need to know their culture, and you need to be able to build rapport. And
yeah,
to build rapport is something we need to work on. It's not something that you can just do, like press an icon and already, you've got it.
yeah. There's investment, energy in
Yeah,
time, love, passion, understanding, listening. As you said, the report
yeah,
is much more than just having the relationship, because rapport is even beyond the relationship itself. Means
absolutely.
that
It's
deep connection.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so, what is your word for 2024? What are you working on for this year?
Okay, so I have I'm working, as I said, with my new project, the impactful speaker script. So for getting impact, making sure that the speakers and entrepreneurs, whatever, make the impact they want to. But I have a much, much more meaningful um, cause, shall we say, for this year. I was adopted as a baby, and in 2016, I was able to find my birth mother again. And I have just written a book called Finding Closure, and this book will be out sometime around April. And when this book comes out, I want to build um, a community, and I want to go and talk to the people involved, to other adopted children, and to adoptive parents, as well as people who foster, um, because the book I've written is not just a story. It's very, very deep in thought-provoking little questions, yeah, about who am I, where do I come from, and because a person who is adopted doesn't have roots, and there is a very, very big longing in us to know our roots. If we know our roots, that's fine. If we don't know our roots, we're looking for them. And so that's really there. I want to also make an impact on, yeah, women who have had to give their children up for adoption, like my mother did. She still had the little band, little bracelet that I was wearing in hospital when I met her. She still had it after all those over 50 years. She still had it.
Wow, wonderful.
And yeah, that was really impressive. And so I would like to take this word impact And I would like to, I think impact is a word that is something you can use in many, many aspects of life. You can use it to make an impact on people's feelings. You can make an impact on people's lives, on people's businesses, on the way they feel about themselves. So there are so many aspects where impact is the key.
I love it. Honest, I really wish you, having your community, what you're doing is fantastic, because I can imagine mothers that can't have children, especially these days, and how hard it is for them not having, and women that unfortunately for some reason they are they feel obliged to leave their children. So it's a lot involved in terms of emotions, and for the mothers and their children. So this is fantastic. I'm really looking forward to read your book, Honest, and let me know. It'll be great to read it. So and also I can't say proud, you see, because it's not the right word, but I'm so, how can I say, I admire what you're doing, because putting yourself forward like that is brave and bold. So hat on you, really.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, my dear. So it was lovely, lovely, lovely chatting with you. Honest to God, I will spend hours speaking with you, especially, talking about this intriguing part of foreign languages and cultural bridge between two different languages. And so hopefully I'm going to see you soon. Definitely we'll be in touch. And for our podcast, Entrepreneurial Pulse, which we are launching soon for International Women's Day. And we are looking for guests. So I'm inviting you, if you want to share with us at a point, maybe for your book, telling us a little bit more. It would be great having you
Okay.
around again. So
Mariana,
thank you.
it's been a total pleasure getting to know you. The first time I saw you, I felt, that there was this magnetism. And so thank you so much for inviting me to be on here today. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you.
My pleasure, dear. So we speak soon, definitely then. You take care, and let's be humans always, yeah? Ciao, my dear. Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Ciao.